Proposal for tourism economist. What's the plan B for TransCanada and the oil sands industry if Keystone is cancelled or further delayed?
Well, I think that the U.S. market is still a very important market for Canadian oil. The Gulf Coast currently imports, as I said today in my comments, about 4.5 million barrels a day. It has to get it from someplace. So how do we get it to the Gulf Coast? Well, people will rail it. They'll rail it to the mouth of the Mississippi. They'll rail it to Cushing. We'll stick it into a pipe and it'll get to the Gulf Coast. That is just factually happening. The economics dictate that will happen. And so I don't think that's a very viable solution. So I continue to think, Keystone gets built at some point in time because it needs to happen. But as an industry, we need more than that. I mean, there is the projects going to the West Coast that are currently under development, and yes, they're challenged, but I believe that they will get through those challenges. We've got our East Coast proposal that can move crude to those refineries. Is that it is the third largest source of crude oil in the world. The world wants it. Canada has the ability to develop it, the ability to sort of oversee it responsibly. So I think it gets developed. And this industry is more innovative than any other industry that I've ever seen. It will find a way to do it. So even outside of all those alternatives that I just mentioned, that's just what's happening currently. But backed against the wall, they figure out how to get things done. There's a myriad of things that can occur out there, and I sort of speculate on what they are. But I think the key fundamental is the Canadian oil sands is a great source of oil. It's economic, and the world needs it. And smart people will figure out how to link those two things up. And I have no doubt in my mind that they'll figure out how to do that. And it will surprise people. It will surprise the opponents who think that, I shut down the Keystone pipeline, I shut this whole thing down. Well, there's billions of dollars of investment and billions of dollars of opportunity. The world needs this source of oil. It's the single largest source of oil in the world that private enterprise can invest in. And you can bet that private enterprise is going to figure out a way to get it to market.
In your remarks, you expressed personal frustration with some of the opponents of the pipeline. Is rapprochement going to be possible in either side? Is there any way that you complain about not being able to have a dialogue with these people? Is there any chance of rapprochement?
I think you have to divide the group. There's those that are fundamentally opposed to what we do, and it's an ideological thing, and there's no way that we can bridge that gap. But there are others that, I wouldn't lump them all together, is that there are others that understand responsible, sustainable development. And we're not perfect, and we can improve, and we can change things. And I'm open to a dialogue about things like pipeline safety. And you see that, we agreed to 57 conditions with PHMSA, things that we weren't doing before that can enhance the safety of our pipeline. We're totally open to that conversation with anybody who wants to have it. And I do think that there are those that we can have it with, but in the last little while here, it's become more of this ideological debate as we sort of sort ourselves through this particular decision. But there's hundreds of thousands of miles of pipeline under the ground that we need to improve the way that we do things, and I would hope that a lot of those groups are open to that conversation of giving us their suggestions on how they think we can do it better.